was going to be really nice to have this church outside my bedroom window. So this started at 6 o'clock this morning. Most elaborate alarm clock I've ever used. A wake-up call for the sadistically religious. Right then, finally, we're off. There's the noisy bastard church, which woke me up this morning. So, at 9:30, ever so slightly later than I had hoped for. But considering I've just filled up the Scott oiler and re-repaired the clutch cable, I'm not too unhappy with an hour delay. So, we've got 614 kilometers to cover today in, well, to be honest, as many hours as it takes. Hamburg is our final destination today. All change! Now, of course, my clutch biting point is in a completely different place all over again. We've got damp roads, cold tyres, a long way to go, so let's not stack it straight off, shall we? What happened with the clutch cable was that the temporary nipple, and who doesn't love a temporary nipple? Permanent ones just need so much commitment. But yeah, the temporary nipple had actually just, from being worked backwards and forwards, had just worked its way through the cable and snapped it off all over again. So these temporary kits do have a shelf life. You can't stick one in and rely on it forever. But luckily, I had put enough adjustment into the various adjusters that I had 1.5 inches of slack left on the cable. So I just slackened it off a little bit, pulled a bit more cable through, reattached the nipple, and off we go. I'd love to say that was done entirely on purpose, but I'll be honest, it was a happy accident. But the lesson here has been learned. If you're on a big long trip and you've had to use one of these kits, leave as much slack as you can possibly get away with on your first fitting, and then you can refit and refit and refit that as often as you like. And another top tip, because the nipple goes in from underneath, stick a piece of PVC tape or gaffer tape or something underneath that, so that when it does come off the cable, it doesn't just fall out and F off down the mountain where you can't get at it. But I will say, after the faff that I've had to do on this bike, which is minimal, to be entirely honest, but still, the next bike that I get will have two things: a centre stand and a shaft drive. I am sick of this chain nonsense. And having a side stand instead of a centre stand means you can't, I know this is potentially bad practice, you can't lay anything on the bike, you can't put tools along the tank like I used to on the Phaser. I mean, that had a really flat tabletop tank anyway, which was prepared for that kind of action. Obviously I would put some kind of a cloth or cashmere blanket over the tank to protect it from my evil tools. But on a side stand bike, you can't put anything on the seat, you can't put anything on the tank, because everything's at a sodding angle, so you're continually dropping crap on the floor. Oh, I hate it. And also, the chain is on the underside, leaning over side. What is that about? You have to crouch down and work on your chain like Gollum.
The precious chain! Stupid, dirty little chances! Always you we must!
And so the tiny little detours begin. Really sat nav. You're breaking my heart. And there's another fine reason why you have a motorbike. What a fine diesel chugging beast. Flowers on the front and everything. Gotta love the extra ground clearance of a tall bike, haven't you? Probably even more ground clearance than usual now I've stuck on the Hurric end can. The stock thingy was a proper, God, it was a pot-bellied pig of an exhaust pipe. And of course, with today being a Sunday, the roads should hopefully be quieter than ever. The quietest they've been on this trip, except for bikers, and they don't take up much space, and I'll have people to play with, so bring them on. House on a cliff. No tractor in a cave though. You're letting the side down, I'm afraid. Well, the weather is once again looking decidedly less than inspirational for today. While I was repairing the clutch cable back there and filling up the Scott oiler, it was so hot that sweat was dripping off my nose while I was there in a t-shirt and leather trousers, but they're not exactly the coolest of workwear, are they? Then it rained, then the sun came out, then it rained again, and then it just went back to cloudy like this and horrible and sticky warm. Strange weather, and all of this supposedly in the summer months. Although I was very, very sorry to hear that Mum and Ian on their way up to Vorbach. Apparently they got wet pretty much all of the way, had to get the waterproofs out in the Schwarzwald. Real shame that. Normally it's me that gets wet. Fancy that rounder blind bend over the Christopher Hill. That's definitely a white bread sandwich, isn't it? One thing we should also remember is that with it being Sunday and the day of the leisure biker, I've often seen a lot more of the Polizei about with their laser guns and their speed-reading doohickery. I do declare I do not like the cut of their coattails, boy. Just getting a bit foghorn leghorn, wasn't it? I said, look here, boy! No, that was Buford P. Justice. I'm here! Verkehrshelfer. It's the German name for lollipop lady. It's not quite as cute, is it? Verkehrshelfer. Lollipop lady. Verkehrshelfer. Lollipop lady. Verkehrshelfer. Lollipop lady. Verkehrshelfer. Let's head off to Zapfendorf. Sounds like the home planet of an alien bad guy. I am Blorgoth of Zapfendorf, and you will bow before my wrath. Right, I am actually a little bit cold, so I'm just going to pull over here and put my little jumper on. Be back in a minute. Bye. There we go. Fleecy plastical warmerousness has been installed. Let us continue. There's a bit of blue sky there. Things might be on the up. So we've still got quite a long way to go, so I think the weather is going to get more and more characteristically northern German. As they say up there, wechselhaft, changeable. Oh, that bit of blue is getting bigger, isn't it? On to Zapfendorf! Oh, if that sky could clear out and give me a sunny end to this trip, then I would be a happy, happy man. Oh dear, this came around quickly. Sadly, due to the increased mileage of this last leg of the trip, I've actually had to program in a few motorway sections, so motorway doesn't make the most enjoyable viewing, just like it doesn't make the most enjoyable riding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to nip up here, mentally prepare myself for the first time I'll have been on a motorway for a couple of weeks, stick in some earplugs, switch all the cameras off, get some charging done. I'll see you at the end of this no-bend, mind-numbing, motorway monotonous mediocrity. See you there. Well, there's 60 odd kilometres rubbed off of the total, so that's about 10-15% of the trip nailed in 20 minutes or so. So we're back out into the countryside stuff. Unfortunately, heading through those rather misty looking hills over there. Just hope none of those clouds are letting go of any of what they're holding. Oh, after nailing it for 150 kilometres an hour for half an hour or whatever that was. Doing the national speed limit, the countryside feels really, really slow. Little contrast to the motorway. Certainly woke me up, that's for sure. Hello. Nordic skier deja vu, or was it a glitch in the matrix? Yeah, I've just realised that truck's from Hamburg. Got a long old way to go on roads like this in that kind of a vehicle, my friend. Cheers, dude, fellow Hamburglar. stick on yet another jumper, because that's right, ladies and gents, for this particular touring trip I am prepared. Waterproofs, spare jumpers, extra spare jumpers, I've got it all. See you in a minute when I am more warmly beclothed. That's that. Oh, it always happens, doesn't it? The only thing that's gone by is motorbikes heading in that direction, and then when I'm finished, a car comes past to spoil it all. But anyway, we are all cambered up, we are warm clothinged up, going reeling that Tiguan. We're going Tiguana hunt. Oh, that's a rough one. It was quite a racy climb, wasn't it? So racy that even my nose is joining in and having a run. A roadblock? Madness. Wahnsinn. Slowest roundabout in the world. With the extra weight of the bike, I am actually realising now, after saying earlier on how well it handles, I'm using a lot more counter steer to get it to tip in. Some of these faster left, right, lefts, I'm really heaving on the bars to get it to tip in like that. That is a solid look. Lace up leather waistcoat with a farmer's tan. You, sir, must give me the number of your stylist. I think I may need to kill him. Well, unfortunately, after that very enjoyable little stretch in the trees there, it's time to get back on the motorway. So once again, I will see you after the high-speed monotony has run its distance-eating but enjoyment-sapping course. Oh well, here it is. The A71, it's going to be 85 kilometres of joy-destroying, back-aching, headache-creating motorway action. So I will save you the tedium and see you when I've got off of this high-speed horror. Don't you go anywhere. I'll be right back. Thank lordy lord biscuits, that's over. It's a field of sorry-looking sunflowers. Look at them, they're all looking at the floor, poor little sad faces. It's a lot of sunflowers. Well, that was the wrong gear, wasn't it, Andrew? Boring traffic. And roadworks. God, we're getting the whole 9 yards here, aren't we? Next we'll find a roadblock, a tractor in a cave, and a house on a cliff. Another traffic light's great. Thankfully we get a green. Oh, only just though. What a real spoiler. I was looking forward to this and it turns out it's actually a bit rubbish. Traffic and roadworks. Oh, and that's it. 3 more twists and we're done. Back on the motorway. God. Well, that was quite disappointing, but glad I saw it anyway. That is a proper wriggly road. What are you doing, chum? Look at this. Cafe 36. See you later, chap. Sadly, I think I go back on the motorway now. That was my tiny playtime segue and it's all over. It's a real shame that. Let's go and see what these lads are up to. I've got my waypoints plugged in, so if I come off a little bit, find my way again. Fear ye not, there are more wriggly roads on this route. They're going completely the wrong direction for me, unfortunately. Nope, you have to leave them to it. I've got deadlines. Me and the missus for dinner in Hamburg, innit? No time for playtime, unfortunately. Boo-hoo-hoo. Being an adult sucks. What the hell? Why not lead me to a gravelly, shady lock-up area where I can get robbed, raped, or worse, punctured. Are you serious? Well, that really was a segue, wasn't it? Oh, and it's shitting down with rain over there as well. Yippity joy, joy, yippity joy. Is this even a real friggin' road? Oh, bloody hell. Now this is a narrow road. Well, technically it's two narrow roads next to each other. Could you call this a dual carriageway? Oh, I'm getting all the wonderful shortcuts on this tour, aren't I? You can't really get lost until you rely on technology, can you? And now I think I'm going to get wet. Finally. There's rain over there, there's spattery rain in the middle, and there's shed loads of rain over there. So pretty much within this arc of about 35-40 degrees, it looks like I'm going to get wet. So there is that window over there. Wouldn't that just be serendipitous if that was the way I was going? Though I doubt it very much. But unfortunately I'm going back on the motorway again. I mean, luckily heading in that direction. But in any case, I'm going to pull up, cameras off, earplugs in. Think of it as catching the red eye. You're just going to shut your eyes, and when you wake up we'll be in a far more interesting place. I'll see you there. Go on then. Sleep tight. Ta-ra! Although on the flip side, looks pretty bright the other side of it. So I'm not stopping to put my waterproofs on. Not just yet. Bloody hell. The cloud doesn't look big enough or dark enough for this much water. Right, chap. There we go, just like that the road is dry, so we're on the leading edge of it now. Pretty annoying as I'm about to turn off and go that way, back towards it again. Tucking typical. I don't want to go back that way. Although all the windmills are facing that way, which tells me that the wind is going that way. So hopefully, that'll just keep on in that direction. Go on, bugger off, nobody wants you. We are now pretty much halfway there. Halfway to home, halfway to a hot meal, halfway to my own bed, halfway to a seat that doesn't vibrate. So now for the last enjoyable section of the trip for today, I'm going to take another little blat across the Harz Mountains. Ooh, that is still ominously close, isn't it? Assuming that stays away, we're going to just cut across the Harz Mountains to the motorway and then blast it back up to Hamburg. Because after this final bit of hilly mountainicity, it's all flat, all straight. If you're going to do flat and straight, you might as well get it done quickly. Well, this is suddenly lovely, isn't it? Even the sunflowers are happy about it. Kind of felt like most of today's journey we've got to places either just before or just after the rain. Because look here, the sky's beautiful and blue, the clouds are fluffy and friendly, but the road is soaking wet. Whereas back there, it was raining, but the road was dry. How terribly bloody annoying. Which does mean, potentially, that's the rainstorm that we're currently following, which is right over where we're about to go through my last wriggly bit of the day. But you know what? I don't care. I've had so many incredible wriggly bits over the last 2 weeks that if this is going to be wet, I'm just going to go through it, but going to go through it slowly. Very, very different mood, very different emotions to the end of the last trip. I was coming through the Harz Mountains purely as a desperate last scratch to get some kind of twisty, bendy road action without being crapped on by a million bajillion gallons of rain. Whereas this time, if it rains, whatever, bring it on. Nearly home. I've had the most incredible trip. I do not care anymore. And once again, roads completely dry. I mean, all of that stuff I just said, if it stays like this, obviously I will be considerably more happy. I mean, name me one situation where you as a biker have been happy when it's rained. Triumph Tiger. Don't see many of them around. Like the old ones, I mean. The ones that look like they're moulded out of a big lump of Haribo. That's where we're going. Bugger. Oh well. Come on then, one last time. Let's go and find some windy wet roads, shall we? Yoink! Yes, Oh, and a lovely great big swathe of blue sky as well. You don't see enough swathes these days, do you? Not in my humble opinion, anyhow. This is the lovely Tudor village of Bad Lauterberg. Wait a minute, those wooden beams are painted on! We're in Disneyland! Now we're heading up into the trees and things are going to get bendy again. Right, hopefully now we're heading up into the proper twisties. Oh, look over there. Oh dear. This isn't going to end well, is it? Oh, that's coming in already. Ah, that's waterproof stuff, that is. Well, that little bit back there was good fun. Good fun while it lasted. I don't know. This might be the saviour, heading away from it perhaps. Although I do doubt it very much. It seems to be everywhere. I suppose while the roads are dry, let's just keep having it, shall we? So now we're actually in the Harz National Park. Oh, very dear. It's quite fitting really, isn't it, I suppose? I got soaking wet pretty much right at the beginning of this tour. Looks like I'm going to get soaking wet pretty much at the very end of this tour. But with all of the roads, all of the places, all of the mountains, all of the valleys that I've seen, and amazingly not got wet in, I am happy. I'm so happy with this tour and how it's turned out. Sure, a few things went wrong. Clutch cable broke twice, stepdad crashed, potentially going to get a nasty letter from the Austrian traffic authority after accidentally going on a toll road the other night, but what can I do about it? There's no point getting bent up about it, it happened already. Sure, I've had a couple of camera hiccups, I've had a few ranty moments, camera's freezing. I've definitely had my usual fair share of sat-nav cock-ups, but it's all part of the fun, isn't it? You don't know where you are until you get lost, but I know that I am very close to being home now. Got a real nose for it. It's been 2 weeks in total since I left Hamburg. I have to say it feels like longer, but it has been an action-packed 2 weeks. Would you look at that? It might not actually be all doom and gloom on my horizon after all. See, sometimes the optimism pays off. Sometimes when you don't stop and put your waterproofs on, you don't get wet. But only sometimes. Yeah, sorry about that little patch of rear view only. Had the first real surprise battery death of the day. Managed to keep the cameras alive so well on this trip, just through the use of external battery packs. I mean, particularly the big one I've got in here, the big Noco XGB12. I've been powering pretty much everything off of that bad boy for most of this trip, and it has been really very handy. I mean, the one that I've got on my face here, the side of my helmet, which I almost always use, I've been running that till it's flat and then letting the camera use its own battery while I recharge that off of the Noco one in the tank bag, and then while I'm using the battery pack, I've switched the batteries in the cameras, and the camera battery is then inside in the charger, once again being charged by the Noco battery pack. It's been such an absolute asset to have. It's very recently rained here as well, isn't it? Right, here's an idea. Before the last tiny little section of twisties, I'm going to make sure the bike is as balanced as possible, fill up the fuel tank, and also give these roads a little chance to... Oh, wrong one. Don't want fancy petrol. Standard will do me. Standard dirty petrol. Yeah, give these roads a quick couple of minutes to dry off perhaps, and for that big dark cloud to F off, hopefully. Right, back in a sec. So there we go. Last fuel up before the last twisty bit, before the last section of the last day of this tour. Exciting, isn't it? Fully wet roads. Except for that dry patch on the edge. Really? laws, right? You can't fall over. These patches of dry, they're baffling me. I don't really understand it. Yeah, it was 50, not 30. Unbelievable. It's like you've got tyres made of nylon or something. Road is once again dry. Brilliant. Last section, get to have it in the dry, even if it is a little bit sketchy. Oh, that's horrible and sketchy. Jumping in between the grooves there. Wondering if the chap on the sports bike might actually catch me up now that the road's dry. I think he was taking it really easy on the wet there. Spirited blast, practically in my own backyard. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of that. Rolling into the Stadt of Ziesen, which means the next stop, sadly, is the motorway. Sad to say, the twisties of uroToo are over. No more. I'm afraid it's just motorway and then city. So at this point, I would like to thank you so very much for watching this tour. It has been an absolutely epic trip. I'm going to jump on the motorway and I'll see you back in Hamburg City.